All right, we've got a special segment tonight, Midnights at Mirai. Class ended for the day, and you know, Brock was over here chomping at the bit to burn the midnight oil, so I can't leave him hanging. So.
Oh yeah, staying up late.
Yeah, I get my little mini taste of what you get every day up here as an apprentice.
Right? Yeah, back when I was part-time and staying down here for the few days a week, this was definitely a pretty regular thing for me, where I'd just stay up late and just keep working after everyone went home. It's like, well, I've got nothing else to do, so might as well keep playing with trees.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. So that is now it's like, it used to be all my trees were still back home, so I just keep working on whatever project he set me up on. Now he lets me keep a couple trees here, and so it's like, okay, well, I'll use this time to
work on your own trees.
Yeah, bring one of mine in to the shop and get some time to do a little bit of stuff, keep maintenance forward on mine. But yeah, it's been nice. I mean, I think at this point I've been here full time for about like 3 months or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely miss the museum too. It's a great spot and need to get up there to see their new exhibition. But this has definitely been super great and really enjoying it full time here. Been a long time since I've had just one job and been able to focus in and not have to keep switching back and forth between two places or two jobs back. It was surprisingly hard to switch between geology, engineering brain to bonsai brain, or I guess it was more so the opposite that was hard, switching from bonsai brain to the geology side of things and be like, all right, time to go back to the real world.
Well, and it really starkly, I guess, would point out where your interests lie, you know? It's like, what did you find yourself thinking of the most? And
yeah.
Then having to switch off of that whenever you were into it was tough.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you're probably doing a higher percentage of kind of bonsai-specific work now too, right? From your museum plus Mirai days to now the full Mirai days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was definitely part of it where, you know, at the museum it's like 8-hour days and a lot of that was like, when I'd be there alone, I'd be completely in charge of watering and opening and closing duties and taking care of all kinds of stuff. We were also the grounds and maintenance crew, and so we had a lot of those projects or events that we had help out with, and setting up and cleaning up, teaching classes occasionally. Whereas here it's a lot. We've got Miguel, who manages a lot of that stuff and is an awesome person to be around and allows us to focus more on the tree stuff. But then we still do a decent amount of the maintenance and whatnot around, but I'm not going to act like Miguel doesn't do a large majority of it. I mean, this last month, once we finished repotting, but before classes started up, it was kind of Ryan's time to dive into like the garden building and like harder landscaping, like bigger projects, opposed to like the general maintenance that Miguel stays on top of. Like this last month, it's been slightly less bonsai stuff and a lot of like setting boulders and renovating areas of the garden and taking huge trees and flying them over the deciduous garden with a telehandler that we are planting.
I've seen you being pretty confident on that. I don't know, what is that thing called?
The dingo.
Yeah, I've seen you being pretty confident on the dingo now. So it seems like you've got that in your wheelhouse as well now.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know if I would say quite confident. Brandon and Ryan definitely whip it around a lot more sure-footedly than I do. I'm still a bit timid driving trees around all the other trees, but getting more comfortable with it for sure.
Nice.
I think I try to keep a healthy level of caution anytime machinery's involved.
Oh, for sure. It can be so destructive, and especially here.
Yeah.
Man, sorry.
Bless.
Yeah, if you were to hit a tree or knock some installation over, like that would just be lights out, right? So,
Yeah, it'd be a bummer for sure.
that would be not fun.
Yeah, definitely not a big goal not to do.
Nobody would be enthused about that.
Right. But yeah, it's definitely been amazing how much I've been able to really dive in and learn from Ryan and just being around this many trees and stuff. Like, I don't know the exact count, but I think our repot list is around 300 or something.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
upper
just from an external perspective, like I've been coming up here obviously for class every 3 months or so, and getting to watch your and Brandon's progress. You guys are growing by leaps and bounds. Like, it's just, it seems like you're taking in knowledge at an incredible pace. So hats off to both of you for putting in all these hours and all this hard work to improve. But it's definitely, it's evident, like you can see it. So
Well,
I've been
thanks.
so impressed with your work.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like the slow burn where it's like you're just constantly absorbing through osmosis almost, where it's like, like I try to still like take the time to really think about what I've been learning each day and like absorbing and processing on my way home what the day and whatnot, just to really take advantage of this time that I'm here and try to solidify the knowledge I'm learning. But yeah, there's just so much always happening that it's like not hard to be like, wow, I didn't know how to use that type of antique Chinese pot with 1 foot and how to do this, or use this type of tie-down methodology to get this literati tree stabilized when it was laying completely sideways in the
getting the reps in to solidify it, though, right? So it's bonsai knowledge isn't built in a season. It's collective. It's funny though. Yeah, I feel like Ryan's forgotten more bonsai knowledge than I've ever known. Yeah. He's got more knowledge in his pinky finger than I have in my 8 years of.
Yeah, it's
struggle,
wild. It is a deep.
So what's kind of been surprising for you going full time here?
Yeah, some of the surprises. It's really just been like the level at which Ryan's trying to take everything he does, like, like you hear him say like the highest level of craft with like things he's trying to accomplish and stuff, and like it's not just bonsai that he feels that way. It's like, yeah, building this garden or doing the photo shoots of the trees and the goods that he has. Like, I've always kind of known that, but then to like be here every day and seeing it happen in every aspect of the company has been like really informative and like inspiring to be like, oh yeah, he is absolutely not cutting any corners, and he has been really gracious to include me in a lot of these things to see how it's done at a higher level. It's like he's not just kind of like taking a quick photo and calling it good. He's like messing with the lighting and doing all this stuff to really make sure that the key features are highlighted, and just being able to see
doing
like,
it right. Yeah. I've noticed that with Ryan, like when I made a podcast with him. It just in every discipline, it's not like bonsai. His amazing work in bonsai is a anomaly in his life, right? It's like everything that he puts his mind to and that has his name on it, he wants it to be of high quality, right? And it seems like, or I noticed that in like the brief interaction I had with him on the making the podcast and the editing afterwards and stuff like that. But it sounds like he brings that intensity to everything in his business.
Yeah,
cool,
absolutely, and that
very cool.
I mean, like I kind of already knew that, but then to see the level and effort that he puts into each thing has been. He doesn't really phone inspiring.
It in for sure. He never phones it in.
Yeah, exactly, and so
cool.
That's been inspiring.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a good, barometer to then hold yourself to for your future business dealings and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah, exactly. It's just like that mentality of like, if you cut one corner, it makes it that much easier to start cutting other corners. And so it's definitely like, okay, this is how to do it at that level, no matter what you're doing, really kind of sets a good precedence for excellence, I suppose.
yeah. And just for folks listening, I don't know if I explained this at the beginning, but we're in the workshop right now and we're kind of doing some tree work while we're chatting. So if you hear some snips, or I just dropped my scissors, but sorry about that. But that's kind of what's going on. What do you got in front of you there, Brock?
Yeah, I'm working on this weird little azalea that I picked up a long time ago. I was at a Halloween party at a friend's house who's not into bonsai, but she has a really amazing landscape, and so when I was leaving the party, I noticed on the curb there was these two azaleas dug up, and so I went back in and it's like, hey, what's the deal with those? And she was like, oh, I just dug those up, I'm getting rid of them, waiting for the dump truck to come by and pick them up. It's like, haha, well, you could call me the trash man then. And so I took this home, and it was like this beefy little squat azalea that had quite a bit of age in it and chunkiness, and it had this big muddy root ball. And when I got it and was planting it, I was like I had to make this decision. I was like, okay, I could either cut the length off of and like reduce this one side of the root ball and make it like this really dense, squat little flower pyramid. And it would be like a pretty stellar little sumo azalea. Or I could plant it like kind of sideways in the nursery container and start like slowly exposing the roots and making that a key feature, and having it be this weird kind of gnarly looking thing. And I went with that route because I just like weird, gnarly looking things. And so
that's so funny that it was just sitting out on the road after a party, and you're like, huh, hey. My wife always makes fun of me, like when we're walking around town, like my head will like whip to the side, It's like, oh man, and she's thinking, oh, did a good-looking girl just walk by or something like that, and then it's like the nabari of a plant in the landscape or something like that.
Yeah.
You just get a different, your eye is attracted to different things whenever you're into bonsai.
Oh yeah,
you notice
right.
different things in the landscape.
Yeah, you're looking at like those little shrubs in the median between the parking lot, and you're like, damn, that's actually got some good movement.
Yeah,
in there.
I wonder if they'd let me buy that. I'll replace it.
Yeah, right. Oh man, the number of times I was had neighbors' landscapes. I'm like, oh, what a cool tree. I wonder if they let me dig that up. And like, I don't say anything. I walk by like a month or two later, and it's gone because they just dug it up and replaced it with some like young little nursery thing. I'm like, oh, no. Dang it. I should have asked.
One man's trash is Brock's treasure.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
A bonsai lover's treasure.
Yeah, let this be your sign to go knock on your neighbor's door and ask if you can dig in their yard.
Yeah, you won't regret it. Dude, this, you pulled in like 3 or 4 different trees over the last few days of your collection. And I've been wowed by the containers that you've been using. You got to post these, I'm sure they're on your Instagram, but like,
yeah, a couple of them.
They're so creative and really striking. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks. I've got this small body of work that I'm doing that kind of came to me pretty early on in bonsai. I haven't talked a whole lot about it just because it's like still in the build process and whatnot. But essentially it's, I've been collecting random pieces of junk metal from all the different recycle bins of the job sites I used to go to, with permission, of course, and like grabbing out, all kinds of interesting pieces that have like cool movement or a good shape in them and some interest, and then stashing a bunch of them to plant on. But I'm trying to do it with like an added level of intention where like each one of these compositions is kind of touching on a different part of human and nature's interactions. And so like I've got this literati lodgepole pine that I planted on a piece of metal that I did not weld, but it's like this weird looking piece where there's like 5 or 6 different pieces of metal that all intersect and form this weird little peak kind of a thing. And so like that one is kind of touching on like how humans have always like gone out into the mountains and in nature alone for these like semi-spiritual moments and whatnot. And so like there's that one, and then this one that I brought in tonight that will be pruning back a bit and doing some wire removal is a twisted pomegranate that I got from Andrew Robeson a while ago. That was a cutting that was struck in from the one that they have at the Kinnick collection. And that one I've planted on this chunk of concrete with a bunch of pieces of like rusty steel wire sticking out of it. That's
a cool, it looks almost like a spider to me with like, it's got this little head in the front, or maybe like a turtle.
Yeah.
From this angle at least, it looks kind of like a turtle with a big shell that the tree is on, and then like a big head sticking out. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Right?
It looks like it's going to walk away almost or something.
Yeah, it's got this weird floating vibe. That one I don't think I've posted before, but yeah, that one's kind of touching on like agriculture and shipping food worldwide, because the piece of junk that it's on is a piece of a pylon from the port of Tacoma that was buried for a long time, and it's a pomegranate, which is obviously a fruiting tree, and so it's like, yeah, just kind of touching on how we've grown food and shipped it internationally for however long, and just kind of our reliance on agriculture. And so that was kind of what brought that one into fruition. And so, I mean, each one of these compositions I could probably write an entire paper about that nobody really wants to read, but that's okay.
I can't wait until it's in the PBE. Then like half the booklet is just your explanation of the tree for the little precursor things.
Yeah, right. That might have to be a solo exhibition, so that way I don't fucking clog it all up or whatever.
That's hilarious. That's so cool, though.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I've always been about stuff I've created, where it's like, even if it didn't have a meaning at first, when I like start, by the time I finish working on something that takes me so long, it's like I've come up with some meanings and reasonings behind the decisions I have to make throughout the process.
Yeah, you're almost like telling a story as you're building something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like your process of design.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, that's part of the reason that I've like wanted to learn from Ryan and go to that deepest level, is that I don't want it to like be all about the meaning and look terrible, you know, and like not be that interesting to look at. Like I want to have a high enough level of technique where it's like a good quality composition, and
it can stand on its own, but then it also has a message that drives it further.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool.
So
cool.
That's definitely been a big goal.
Well, you certainly seem like you've been developing that for sure.
Thanks. I've also been pretty impressed with how fast you've been developing too, without even having to do an apprenticeship. Like that redwood you just worked a bit that you've did the initial styling on is amazing, dude. You've been crushing it too. And I mean, is that most, like, would you say that like you've just been super dedicated and putting the hours in working with like Adam and on your own trees, Adam Toth, or what do you think's been driving your progress the most? I've been going over
to Adam's probably once or twice a month, and then I've been coming to Mirai.
Yeah, obviously that helps a lot.
Right? Both of those have really been accelerating my learning development, and yeah, I'm just nose to the grindstone. I think now I'm feeling more confident in like the styling process, and now I need to do good styling, you know, like, or like improve the level of my styling. So the critiques that Ryan had today were just so good on my redwood. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm missing, and like that's what I need to add, and you know, it clicks. So
Yeah, but
I gotta be able to do it, but yeah.
Right, but I mean, you could see how like minimal those changes were that he made.
I don't know about that. It was a whole different tree after he touched it, but
I mean,
yeah, I understood what he was saying, which was good. So now I hopefully can implement it better. Actually, I've heard that from both Adam and Ryan. I think because of their similar kind of lineage in terms of teachers, have a large focus on this kind of not having an even silhouette, like a perfect silhouette, but having in and out in the silhouette to make a more interesting and dynamic design. And I think I kind of default towards like, as I'm building a tree, I like incrementally just step up the silhouette.
Yeah.
And so I need to kind of get out of that habit, or just remember to come back at the end and readjust the branches and the lengths of things so that I do have that kind of in and out and like catch your eye in the back. The way that Ryan had explained it earlier today was like super helpful for understanding why that's important in terms of being able to add depth and dimension to the design.
Yeah, it gives your eye that line to, or like in like painting and stuff, they call that like movement. Like it's not necessarily like the painting looks like it's moving, but it's how it drags your eye through the composition. And
yeah. And it's so funny because Adam gives me the same feedback on my design. So they clearly studied in a similar school, right, with the kind of Kimura lineage, because, you know, they both are pulling that same thing out of the kind of what my current process is and how it can be improved.
Yeah, that's interesting to see, and like that's cool to hear that they are catching on to similar things. And do you think that that's pretty helpful to have both like teachers and people you're like primarily working with being from similar lineage? Like, would you rather? Look at us both dropping tools.
I know, yeah. Sorry, ears.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always been in a similar lineage, like starting with Sam, then working with Todd, then working with Ryan and Adam. Like all of them are like in the same kind of Kimura taiga like lineage, and so yeah, I mean, I think that kind of consistency has been helpful.
Yeah, right. I bet just to kind of get the similar ideas and like really help drive those points home.
Yeah. I'm just so impressed with all of their work and have really enjoyed learning from each of them. So
nice.
So I wanted to ask you, what have been some of the like standout lessons or things that you've picked up so far during your time here? Like what have been some of the things that, well, first of all, how do you think your pace of development has been? Like obviously from the outside in, it seems like it's been, you know, really, really fast rise, but I'm curious, like does that kind of mirror how you feel like you're developing?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I've been learning a lot, and like it's been a steady march forward and stuff, but it's like, you know, kind of like how, just like when you're looking at your trees, it's like over time, you're like, it doesn't look that much different, and then you look at a photo from a few years ago and you're like, oh wow, that's actually developed a lot more than I realized it has. And so that's kind of like where I feel, where it's like the incremental growth has definitely been evident, but
it kind
not
of sneaks
like,
up on you though.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's kind of like I'm like, oh wow, actually this project, which would have taken me a lot longer and not looked as good, has really been I've been able to complete it faster, and it looks probably way different than I would have expected. Like I recently styled a Doug fir that I collected a couple years ago and finally got around to styling it, and for the last few years I've been like kind of eyeballing it, trying to figure out what I might do with it. And when I set it down on the turntable, it was a whole new front, a whole new angle, and I thought I'd have this kind of like long elongating branch, and instead I compressed the design and got a lot more changes of movement in it, and was able to complete the styling in a day, which would have taken me a lot longer. And was like, okay, so this is definitely a different tree than I would have made 8 months ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and I'm not upset with the result. I mean, there's room for improvement, and I see that it's not perfect by any means, but I am definitely like, okay,
things are changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flexing these new muscles and being like, okay, I'm actually figuring this out.
Yeah, and so that's definitely felt pretty good, but always definitely have that mindset where it's like, I could still do a bit better. And so whether that's just like, just self-confidence things or just the want to improve constantly, I don't know, but definitely want to just keep learning more. And while I definitely feel like I've learned a lot, I know that I'm just getting to that point where it's like there's so much more to learn too.
Yeah.
As I hope there always will be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what draws us to bonsai, right?
Yeah. And
it's funny though that you mentioned like getting to work on your own trees, because I feel like my impression of some of the folks in Japan and stuff like that when they're on an apprenticeship is like, and like even apprentices here, it's like it's very hard to even have your own trees, right? Because you just, you're working 12 hours a day on somebody else's trees, and then where do you find the time, right? So is this your secret? You're just squirreled away in the workshop at night? Or how has it been like balancing your own collection with, because I know it's really important to you and the messages behind your trees. How has it been balancing that with, obviously your main responsibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we don't get much time like here at work to be doing them, because there's all of his trees to be working on, which makes complete sense. So it is like trying to squeeze in the time. Like maybe I'll stay up late after work one night, or if I get home early, I'll get going on it. Spend most of my days off. I'm still doing some level of bonsai, whether that's just like a little bit of unwiring and watering, or some collecting or whatever. I've definitely have been bitten by the bug so hard. It's like I just don't really want to stop. It's like every time I have time off, or like the other day it was raining and stuff, and it's like, I could just use this as time to chill inside and figure out something else to do. And then like I sat down and got bored almost immediately, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go out in the rain and move my trees around. I've got to move a bunch of stuff out of the shade and into the sun now that it's cooling off a little bit. And so it's like, I don't know, it's almost an obsession or compulsion where I can't stop. So
do you ever sneak any suspicious questions in while you're working on a tree that's like something you have too? Like, well, if this tree was actually a few years back in development, then what would I have done? You sneak in any of those while you're working on Ryan's trees?
Oh yeah, well, luckily Ryan's super awesome and easy to talk to. I could just straight up ask him like, okay, well, I have this azalea that I'm about to take all the flowers off and prune it. Like, how do I do that? And he'll give you a really good, thorough explanation and answer, and dive deep into the physiology and where you're going to cut and why and all that stuff. So, but I mean, every once in a while there is definitely like so how would you handle something like this hypothetically? But for the most part, I just straight up ask. I'm able to. It's been super pleasurable to work with him, because it's just been good vibes with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, he loves trees too, so he understands, right? And that sounds like from how he explained his apprenticeship, like that's what he was doing after work too, was going back and practicing these techniques and honing his blade, right, while he was there. So
exactly.
He understands that. Yeah. Oh, I had a question for you. How is it? So, there's tranches of time here where students are coming for classes, right? And then you have periods of time outside of the classes. And I'm sure it's a little bit of a different vibe during those two different different kind of periods of time at the garden. Like there's different scopes of work you might work on, right? Because Ryan's busy all day with classes, right? So how's it, you know, is there a difference between kind of the periods where class is in session and the periods when it's not? Like, does the rhythm of the garden change at all, or?
Yeah, there's a bit different things going on for sure. It's similar where there is still a lot of tree work going on, but yeah, there is a bit more like Ryan will get a lot more of like his business stuff done in those times when, and like you know, like the garden build stuff's a prime example of that, where we're not going to be out there setting too many boulders while classes in session and stuff. So he takes the time to do that while there's not students here that he's teaching, and we get to learn from that kind of stuff. But like in other parts of the year, like it just keeps trudging on, you know, like after classes ended, I think our last one was like mid-March, and we just kept repotting till...
Yeah, it had to be done, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so till the end of April. And so you just kind of keep doing it. We definitely spend most of our time in the trees here. And so that's definitely, it actually maintains a pretty similar pace and rhythm, which is really fun to see. And it's like, you know, that's when there are students here, Brandon and I try to be respectful of the people who are like paying to be here and learning from them and stuff. So we definitely still are in the workshop working with you guys, but we try not to be as like we try to give students the time that they deserve to interact with Ryan and stuff. And so there's just a bit more of that like one-on-one and chance to learn directly from him when there aren't the students around.
Makes sense.
So that helps kind of get that more direct. But I mean, even then, it's like you've seen it. We're still in the workshop and working on trees, and he still comes over and watches what we're doing and gives us feedback and stuff. But it's a surprisingly similar pace and things going on when there aren't students here, which is cool to see, and it's just a bit more personal and whatnot, which has been good and allows us to really dive deep. And like sometimes there's like projects that are just a bit more intense that like are a bit hefty to bite off with 7 other people around that all have their own projects that he's trying to help and manage and teach. So like, you know, we repotted a bunch of like big time junipers and other trees. Like we repotted juniper number 1. And
cool. How was that?
That was wicked, dude. It's like got this really refined root system at this point, and like we got in there and took all the broken down akadama out of there, and like just getting it out of that pot was wild, because it's kind of almost like a bag-shaped square Ron Lang pot that it's in. And so the combing alone took a long time, and then once we got it out, it's like was super dense, and I had to like break it apart, and just full of fine roots and whatnot. And
are there any trees that are like Torio Numai was for Ryan at Kimura's? Like you before you came here, you were like, I've got to work on that tree while I'm here. Do you have any of those in your sights, or any specific ones, or it's like?
Yeah, there's this one Rocky Mountain juniper that is planted in this crescent-shaped rock that he did a live stream on for the Rocky Mountain Bonsai Society.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And so that was like my entry into like the realm of Mirai and bonsai at this level. Like that was the first meeting of a club I ever participated in. It was like COVID time, so it was virtual. But it was like he just hopped on and started like diving into the physiology of why that was the proper time to be working on junipers, and how this is how to style this where the wind would be coming over the rock and how that would inform the shape of the tree. And like just the tree itself is immaculate. And so like during that 2-hour stretch, I was literally like, man, this has got my life on a whole new trajectory. Like I gotta do bonsai every day of my life now.
That was your like religious moment.
Yeah, literally. And so like during that, it was like coming here and seeing that tree in person. And at this point I was pretty lucky and got to do a bunch of Fordham work on that earlier this spring. And we did clean the live vein and painted the dead wood. And so that was pretty awesome, and is gonna get another round of wiring this summer when the season's right. So hopefully I'm part of that process. And
nice,
I mean,
dude.
We'll see. I might have to wait till the next round, but yeah, it sounds like we're really gonna be trying to this summer work on all the big time junipers this year and get all of them dialed in. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be nice for Ryan having all this extra. I mean, he's been doing this alone, right? So having all this extra help with you and Brandon. Yeah. To me, at least, it seems like the garden is just accelerating in its pace to refinement, which is awesome to see. It's so cool.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to hear that. I mean, similar idea. We're here every day and we still see those incremental gains and improvements, but nice to hear that it's visible to the students as well.
Oh, for sure.
And the visitors.
Yeah, it's pretty stark too whenever, you have your memory from 3 months ago and then see it, you've got 3 months of change to observe, which is cool.
Right.
This time the big change is the all the new boulders in the garden. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait till it's done too. It's gonna be stunning.
Yeah, it's a slow burn for sure. Just constant, it's we commonly equate it to a bonsai. It's like you got to set the bones and slowly refine the spaces, and keep it moving forward, fitting in the time to work on them. And
yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
And so it's fun though, and it's a good process, and we've been enjoying it a lot. But so that one's probably number one on my list, but there's definitely a handful of other ones there. It's just like, man, that would be a really special one to work on. One of my favorite bristlecones, my favorite bristlecone in the garden, I got to repot this year. That was really special.
How was repotting? I can't imagine 300 trees, and these are big trees. These are not like 300 shohin. These are like, you can repot 2 or 3 of these a day kind of big trees. How was repotting season? Oh man, dude, it was immaculate. Like the amount of crazy material here and how different everything was. That's another thing that's been really surprising, like this, how every situation has some nuance to it. Many nuances in general. And it's like, even with this partial defoliation that's been going on in these classes, there's been a couple different trident maples. We got elms and hornbeams in here right now, sweet gums. We did a ginkgo. This is the second linden in here in the last couple days. And it's like, he was saying, it's like, while it's all partial defoliation, each one of these trees has a different mode of aesthetic goal and a different stage of development. So it's not just, everything is broadly cut back to 2 and cut the leaf in half. It's like, this one we're going to pull the leaves but leave the runners so that way light gets to the inside. This one we're going to cut back heavier and we're going to prune a bit more, and this one is going to be different yet again. So like that, it's the same with repotting. It's like, okay, well this one's a fresh Yamadori and the tie down strategy is going to be really hard because it's going to lean so much, and this one's a more refined tree, but that doesn't mean that we just lightly scrape the edges. We got to break through all of that broken down soil and get in there and see what's going on and get to fresh, intact soil. So like that's been really enlightening to see, and how like each one of those scenarios changes your chopsticking order of operations, where it's like,
a fresh Amadori where you've saved almost all the roots and like layered them in, like a couple roots, a little bit of soil, a couple roots, a little bit of soil.
Root lasagna.
Like, yep, the root lasagna. Like with that, you're gonna start by chopsticking the outer edges along the pot first, and then go near the intact root mass, and then lightly in between all the lasagna.
Yeah.
Whereas like a more refined root system, where it's like more of your typical bonsai.
You might only need to chopstick one iteration, right?
Yeah, exactly. You do like the bulk filling. You're trying to get at that shallowest angle underneath the root mass you can, and then maybe you step down in chopstick size and kind of fill in the little spaces one more time around. And so it's just kind of like each scenario is so different, and like to really realize that, because it's like you get all this information from books or websites or magazines, and it's like, this is how you prune a maple, and it's like, okay, that seems, you just cut back to the first set of internodes or
but
first
then
two
there's so
internodes.
much nuance that you need to tease out of it. Yeah, that's what I really like about Ryan's approach, and what drew me to it is like he's seeking to understand and create a generalizable model, right? It's not just like dogmatic, do this at this time. It's search for these physiological indicators, understand the stage of development of the tree. And that process, like that thought process is like really interesting to me, or fits well with my kind of analytical background.
Yeah, right. He definitely has that same thing like we were talking about, where he's trying to go to that, take everything to that highest level of craft. It's like he's trying to take everything to that deepest level of understanding of why and how and when, and how does this vary from even trees of the same species that are just on a different step of their process. Even if they both look like they're in secondary entering refinement, there's still some nuances with this branch compared to that branch, or this area compared to that area on this one tree. And so that's been really enlightening to see how to handle all these different things and scenarios. But so it's been really fun to watch that process and be a part of it. And repotting was just a prime example of all of that rolled into one of the most intense operations we do.
I mean, nobody repots like Ryan. He just it's not just bim bam, slap it in a pot. It's every single step in the process has reasoning and has care given to it. Like I feel like whenever I finish a repot, it's like a work of art almost. Like putting the final polish and the top dressing on, and having the quarter inch divot around the side. It's like, okay, this is clean. I created a high quality product. Like that's so fun. That's such a fun process.
Oh yeah, right. It's good.
I've done this well so that the tree, I can actually work on it later in the year. It's tied in correctly, and it's not going to move around. And it's cool. It's a cool experience for sure.
Yeah, isn't it? And so,
how's it been physically? Like, you're putting in some hard days.
Yeah, just definitely some good long days of learning a lot, and it's definitely pretty tiring and stuff. But it's also like so recharging to be doing this work and doing what I love to do all the time, where it's like really doesn't even feel like a long day. Like almost every day I'm like, holy cow, it's 12:30 already? Like how is this even the case? I've got to go check water again? Okay. And then it's like, oh wow, it's getting dark. What time is it? I should probably, I might have to get home at some point tonight. Whoops.
That's so funny. You're just like in your best world, in your perfect life.
Yeah, so it's like while it's been long days, it really doesn't feel that. Like even the garden building stuff, which has like been pretty like even more physically demanding than the normal stuff we do, it's like so wild to see these spaces evolve and be part of these cool projects and learn how to strap up boulders and move them around and all that stuff has like
That
been
is
so
so cool.
informative that it also is physically hard, but so enjoyable that it really doesn't feel
Well, and valuable
too
skills
bad.
for your future goals too, right? I'm sure you want to have your own garden, and yeah, I mean, my understanding is that you'd like to do bonsai professionally at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal of, like, really, as long as I can keep doing this forever. That is the goal number one. And so, pretty open to however that looks. But definitely trying to,
Nice.
continue on with this.
Nice. Well, I think you're definitely going to end up a force to be reckoned with. So you won't have problems finding clients. I'm curious though, are there things about, I mean, Ryan is obviously very good at the business side of bonsai as well. Are there things about the business side that you're kind of picking up as well and learning about and thinking about incorporating in your future? Or is it just like, at this point, you're just trying to get as much tree knowledge as you can and you'll figure out business in the future? I'm just wondering how far you're looking ahead in terms of the business side.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like trying to figure that stuff out and like keeping an eye on it and stuff. Like the other weekend, I just had my first time getting like hired by not a bonsai museum or Ryan
congrats.
to go do stuff. Yeah, one of the Seattle study groups hired me to come on up and talk with their group. And
Oh,
so
that's
that was,
awesome, Brock.
yeah,
Congrats,
it's pretty excited about that and had a lot of fun with them. Shout out to PSBA and all their study groups. They're a prime example of how I feel like a bonsai club should interact and work with people. And so I've been super impressed by them. And so I'm definitely trying to pick up the way that Ryan operates and how he's gotten there and what's going on and stuff. And like brainstorming and trying to figure out what the future does look like. But at the same time, I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself and really just absorbing where I'm at too.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I'm just completely ignoring that, but at the same time, I'm trying to really stay focused with where I'm at too. So
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's a bit of a balance, but yeah, you know, it's like try to brainstorm and have a plan, but it's not quite time to execute on any of the plans. So it's like keep them in the sketchbook and kind of hash them out over time.
Well, any plan is going to have to start with being real good at bonsai at the start, right? So maybe that's step one.
Exactly. That's kind of what I figured too. It's like, once I really have the skill set to dive in and comfortably
Provide
work
value,
on
yeah,
anything,
exactly.
then it's like, that's a good jumping off point. And so whether that's, you know, maybe Ryan just wants to hang on to me and just keep letting me hang out here. I mean, I'd love to do that. I'm in no rush to leave here. Maybe it's like a museum or something, or start a new garden, or start traveling the world. Yeah, pretty open to the future, but happy with it as long as I'm working on trees.
Nice. Just living in the moment of, yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was just curious, like, you know, it's a good place to pick up business knowledge, obviously. I don't know if anybody else is, in the U.S. at least, is doing bonsai at this scale, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's definitely something I've been aware of. Is like, man, for him to have the ability to create this, like, essentially Mirai empire has been super informative. I mean, to the whole world, you know, how many bonsai artists now have their own learning platforms that he was the first to do that. And it's like, now it's almost just like an accepted thing where you're going to have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it is the business model, right? Yeah.
And so it's like, that's super inspiring. And it's like, is there a way to, like, not only is that inspiring on creating a roadmap of exactly like a path that you could copy, but also inspiring in a way of like, wow, he kind of came up with Bonsai TV and like really took this to the next level. And so it's like, okay, well, what other paths are there that haven't been dreamed of yet? And what could they look like? Kind of like Tepe and Tradman's doing like the
don't be
bonsai
afraid
rental
to
service.
push the envelope, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool.
it's like that alone is inspiring, and like, oh, so while there's these paths that have already been dreamed up and are a path forward, it's like also like, okay, well, maybe there's still something out there in a way of doing this that hasn't been dreamed up or done yet, and so I'm trying to spin the wheels on what that could look like too, with no clear roadmap yet, but stay tuned.
Big things coming.
Yeah, maybe.
Things brought.
That's the goal. And so, yeah, definitely
Nice, dude.
enjoying where I'm at in the meantime, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a special moment, right? Like,
Absolutely.
the momentum that Mirai is building right now, too, is pretty palpable, so.
Awesome, yeah. It's been good, and there's a lot of exciting things happening, and compositions being made, and things in the bonsai community that are happening, just like the general growth of it, cool events like PBE, and it's like the Bonsai Museum up in Seattle has really been taking off and gaining a lot of popularity amongst like the general public and stuff with all their new exhibitions and stuff. In the last handful of years, the attendance to their events and their public, like their engagement with the general public has been increasing. And
Oh, that's so cool to hear from the museum context of like, yeah, you've got really hard stats there, right? Of like, hey, this is how many people are coming. This is how many people are attending these events. This is how much fundraising we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, actually.
And so it's really inspiring and good to know that not only is the bonsai community growing and loving bonsai, and it's like continuing to move forward here, but like the general community is constantly becoming more and more aware of bonsai as it shows up in the back of more movies and TV shows, or the museum, and other people are going out in public and being part of these things. Tradman's is showing their trees in different like Porsche events or Nike or sporting events or wherever, and so it's like just bonsai in the public is growing too, which is cool and inspiring.
Let's hope it gets more popular, but tree prices don't go up. How about that? Let's maybe see if we can make that one happen. We already have a crunch for good material, and then
yeah, right.
Why don't they just wait until I fill up my garden? Then it can get more popular.
Yeah, right. And then once I'm the professional, I'm down for prices to then rise again. Yeah. Just kidding. But like, yeah, that's definitely like one of those things where it's like,
Catch-22.
Yeah. On one hand, I do like a good deal. On the other hand, I do like artists getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's clear that more interest in bonsai would drive the level of the art higher, right? So
yeah, right. More people just trying new things, and more people dedicate.
Then people focus on quality too, right? Because you know, you have to have a discerning eye to pick the winners and losers if it's not just materials bountiful. And so I think that helps drive, you know, the improvement of the people making trees and you know, everything involved. So
right. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. And so I think that's definitely pretty cool to see the just constant growth of interest in the art form and the momentum that the art form in general has been seeming to gain.
Totally. I'm going to move this tree outside real quick. Hopefully the mic still catches me, but I'm just going to put this out in the yard so it's not out of the way.
There you go. On to the next.
Out on the crunchy gravel here. It's a little dark out. Hopefully I can find my way back in. Hi, Monty. Oh my goodness, we've got our puppy dog, guard dog here. Tongue out.
Oh yeah, little Monty boy. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so glad Ryan lets me bring him to work every day.
Yeah, bring your dog to work every day.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with this palm? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so it's blowing out pretty good, as you can see. Well, since this part's not going to be the apex and was just left on to form a collar, I would imagine we can cut this back pretty heavy, like just so it doesn't keep sucking energy out of the parts we want.
Makes sense. And then you're just looking for the first pair of leaves with buds.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of like right here.
And since we're not even keeping that one, you could probably even cut it. Yeah, cut it pretty
here
far
or
back.
Down here.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
what do you want to do with all these? So it's, you know, post flush, harden, prune. Are you thinking of cutting these back, or are you trying to thicken them?
Yeah, so generally a lot of this, I guess, based off of the Peter T conversation, I'm doing more of the starting from the outside and trying to build the general shape and push that energy back in. And so the elongation's largely on the outside of this, and so we're gonna cut a lot of these back pretty heavily to interior leaves or like that first couple set of buds.
Okay.
And then we'll come back in and remove some leaves to try to get some more light onto the interior as well on some of these whorls where they created a bunch of the leaves initially, just so that way we can really try to push that energy back into the back buds that I've left inward. And so, yeah, pretty much these elongated ones, but this apex I'm still building, we'll leave that long, yeah. And this, because this one definitely needs to thicken more and gives me something to wire this fall. But then, yeah, like some of these areas where it hasn't pushed as much down lower interior, we won't cut back as much. But yeah, so like some of these little guys, but those ones don't have the extensions that we're looking for. So yeah, pretty much just some cutting them back and getting it a bit tighter is the goal. See if we can't get that energy pushed inward.
Nice.
Yeah. And then looks like the wire's probably ready to come off too.
Boy.
Yeah, right. You don't have to dive too deep into that. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I could get around to that.
Oh, no, I don't
I'm not too far on this azalea before I'll move over there too.
So. Oh, yeah, we can tag team it.
Right. Yeah, this azalea, that's kind of tricky because it's like there's the general information about it of like, you know, like
no, la.
Yeah,
I was telling Brock earlier, like, as a hobbyist, I can only take in so much knowledge, right? It's like, you know, I can't have junipers and azaleas and, you know, Stewardia and, you know, there's just only so many trees that I can actually keep in my memory bank of like how to do. As a pro, it's like, okay, yeah, you have to know everything because people are going to ask you about everything, right? But I got to pick my battles as a hobbyist. So anytime he says anything about azaleas, I just close my ears. I'm just kidding. You can go.
That's funny. I mean, it's a fair point. If you want to have a good balanced life of things other than just tiny trees, it makes sense that you're not trying to just fully absorb anything and everything thrown at you. A bit of dedication's definitely a good way to go. But yeah, it's like this one, you know, it's that weird grotesque stump thing that I'm dealing with, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm starting with something that's not a traditional form, then my goal is not in the end for it to have a traditional formed canopy. So while that normal pruning methodology of like cutting back to like the most acute, tightest crotch and like the tightest inner nodes is not necessarily what I am going for. Like this one is kind of closer to that Penjing style where they have like these big grotesque stumps that really create more of a landscape, and then the offshoots coming off of it are what they then turn into smaller trees on this landscape, where it's like I'm not necessarily doing that, but it is like
it's an inspiration.
Yeah, that type of work is more in line with what I'm doing on this composition than your traditional azalea that you might see in the kokofu or something, where that's just not really the form I'm going for with it. So I'm trying to suss out, like, okay, maybe I want more angular lines in this to just kind of drive that aesthetic of kind of more jagged angular lines, because this one, it's kind of like playing with a different kind of look with it. So it's like I think I'm going to try to get more angularity in the branches I leave behind, but I still don't want to leave whorls that are going to
thicken and cause this like coarseness.
Yeah, I don't want any like weird inverse tapers or nothing like that are going to be too grotesque to look at, but or distracting or whatever. But I'm also just not going for like this triangular canopy with everything kind of smooth, tight lines and stuff. So just trying to suss out a little bit of added character that might make this tree a little more interesting over time.
Nice. Oh yeah, Ryan went on a funny, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, he had a very strong statement today about how most people are messing up Chinese elm pruning.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
That was a cool lesson on kind of letting some of the horizontal pieces have a few extra internodes versus the vertical stuff really constraining it, so that instead of making kind of a lollipop, a ball canopy, making more of like a billowy canopy, where you have some more lateral growth.
Nice,
that was a cool lesson.
Yeah, so I think I was out watering during that, so he was saying like, yeah, could you dive into that a little bit?
Sorry, yeah.
Oh,
so,
no, you're good.
Oh yeah, we have the Chinese elm here. So
perfect, yeah.
You know, Chinese elm have naturally pretty short internodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so on the stuff that grows vertically in the kind of silhouette, we're cutting back to kind of a target length of, maybe 2 or 3 kind of nodes, right?
Yeah.
But on the stuff that's coming out horizontally, like the stuff that comes laterally, if you cut back to just nodes, then it's buried underneath the vertical stuff, right? So for the lateral growth, you're allowing it to have maybe 4 or 5 internodes versus only 2 internodes on the kind of vertical stuff. So you let the stuff that's growing laterally have some more distance, so that instead of it ending up looking like a ball, you get some lateral movement that allows that foliage to kind of come out and still contribute to the silhouette, right?
Yeah, it gets light.
Instead of pruning everything down to 2, you are pruning to kind of 2 different types of lengths, right? The vertical length that you're really compressing to keep the tree from, getting taller, but you still want the bifurcations, right? But then on stuff that's coming laterally, you're giving it a little bit more play, right?
Yeah,
and so
that makes sense.
There's two different types of kind of pruning action on these. So like this kind of lateral stuff, you see how there's a little bit more length to it, versus the vertical stuff, like it's cut off pretty precipitously.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because if you're just that's the prime example of like you're talking about how even on one tree it's gonna have multiple different goals and
see these lateral things where it's 4 or 5. This vertical stuff, there's really only two leaves, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty clever. So that way, because I could totally see how if you just like get in that flow stage, it's like okay, every length needs to be cut back to 2. It's like all of a sudden you like step back, and it's just kind of like a lot of it's buried underneath itself, and it's like, ooh, how is that going to get light? Whoops.
Exactly. Yeah, they just turn into a ball instead of kind of a more. I think he described it as like a lollipop versus like more of a billow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like a cloud versus a ball.
Yeah. Basketball.
Yeah. Exactly. I need to put that into practice on mine.
Yeah, that's a good one. See, that's what I'm saying. There's just so many of those little moments where it's just like he's dropping nuggets all the time, and so it's like trying to really hone in on those and make sure that you're grasping them all is definitely important and fun to try to like what did we do today, and what were some of those hidden little messages that were, or like little things that could easily just be like, you know, really help you move forward with. Okay. Probably. I mean,
you think most of it's ready to come off?
Yeah, I definitely have taken a couple off already that were starting to get tight, and there's just so much going on here where it's like, better to just get it off now while we're here, opposed to like get most of it off and then get tied up with something for the next few weeks, or not have the opportunity to stay till midnight again. Thanks. And so definitely so many of those good little teaching moments that, you know, and it's like even the same with watering. He's really been leaning on Brandon and I to start watering, which is pretty wild. I would have assumed that was something we learned a bit earlier, but like, you know, I started last July, and all last summer he was just kind of like, I'll just handle it. I'm not ready to hand that over yet. I'm like, okay, yeah, no worries. And we just got to kind of keep on wiring or doing whatever. And this year and throughout the winter, he was starting to teach us a bit more as things were moving slower, and it wasn't quite as like dire if we missed something or whatnot. And now it's like getting back into that.
Now it's back into the summer, so.
And
well, that's funny. So watering has actually been, you know, one of the. What's your take on that? I mean, I've heard multiple people say like watering is the hardest skill in bonsai, but you know, how true do you find that? Or
yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's another level to it. You know, you could probably water once a day, call it good, and your trees might be all right. But when you have this many and you're all in different stages of development, you could really do some damage if you're mishandling water, whether you're just missing it on a sunny day, or whether it's like a tree in recovery, or you got a sick tree from somebody who is getting rid of something they don't want anymore. Like you could definitely overwater it a lot more easily. And so definitely been interesting to learn, and it's not easy if you're really trying to take in everything in consideration, where it's like, you know, species nuances, trees nuance, like individual nuances. Like this one was repotted this year, and so I know that there's no roots in this half of the pot, and so that part might still be wet, but the area with all the roots is dry. And so trying to know, should you water to the wet part or to the dry part, or gauge to that, or is this something where it's
See, like, I'm a simple man. I feel like I touch tree, if tree is dry, water. But, you know, I guess I'm not a professional too, so maybe that's why. But
I mean, hey, there's a lot, you know, it's hard to know for sure how deep you want to go and stuff, and it's kind of like there's just always another level you can go to, and it's like, we have to remember, like, okay, well, when's the next time we're coming back to this? Is this our last water of the day? Will this tree not get checked again until 10:30 or 11 tomorrow, or is this like the midday watering where we'll be back in 4 or 5 hours? If that's the case, then I might let it ride a bit longer, or whereas on that last one of the night, I might be watering a bit heavier just to make sure. And it's been really enlightening to kind of be around this many trees. And because, you know, between when I was at the museum and my trees and the trees here, I had over 1,000 trees in my life that I was taking care of at
that you got to remember everything about.
Yeah, and so like every one of them is an individual that has its own things going on, and so that's definitely been very informative, and each thing's, it's definitely different, where it's like in my garden, everything's in development. At the museum, everything's in refinement.
Yeah.
And here we've got all the stages and much more going on. And so there's like definitely a lot to take in and consider and think about, and getting to know the trees has really been amazing and informative to be around them and think like, okay, well, like watering multiple times throughout the day or like over the course of a few weeks, and seeing how fast different trees are drying out, as how healthy is this one, or how did this respond to that, and like making like the more you seem to try and ace it, the better for sure. And so, but it's also like, if you're having success with the way you're doing it, then you don't have to stress about it that much. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like the hardest watering is whenever something's not going right.
Exactly,
Then it's like, this tree isn't taking up a lot of water. Like, should I let it dry out? Like that unhealthy. Like when a tree, at least in my garden, like when a tree is unhealthy, then it's like, oh man, now it gets hard, right? Because otherwise it's sucking up water and it's getting dry quick, and you're like, all right, if it's using it, I'm going to keep giving it, right?
Yeah, so, hit it again. Yeah, precisely.
It's hard when you've got a lot of Yamadori and like these like kind of semi-drought tolerant, like high mountain species and things like that. That definitely ratchets up the difficulty. Yeah,
exactly. And so there's a lot happening. And yeah, exactly. It's like, which ones are we letting dry out a bit more and keying into that? And okay, this one that we have been letting dry out more, is it getting healthier now? And at what point do you then change to not to like, your normal routine of watering as it starts to gain strength?
Oh man,
again?
That's another level. Yeah.
And so there's a lot that goes into it, and it's just kind of definitely a lot to process and fun to do. But I wouldn't say it's easy. I definitely have been taking it pretty seriously and trying to figure it out on that deeper level.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, you're not going to be watering long if you're not trying to take it seriously at Mirai, that's for sure.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Ryan is very serious about it, so. It's funny, Sam inherited that from Ryan too. He is so funny. Whenever he's out of town sometimes, I'll go over there and water, and I mean, I kind of know like what he wants now, which is good, right? But in the beginning, like there's a very, it would be hard for a layperson to do. I feel like you have to have a bonsai person watering, or it'd be difficult to follow those instructions.
Yeah, right. I know. I definitely am lucky to have a wife I do who is definitely cares enough to really try to do it right and look at it and figure it out. Because, it could definitely be stressful for us bonsai people.
Yeah, shout out to my wife who's watering. Well, she's not watering my trees right in this second, probably. I hope not, because it's midnight. But I would feel bad for her if she was.
Right.
But yeah, she's been holding it down at the home fort. So she's crushed it so far. I've never had any problems when I've been out of town. So
perfect, right? That helps a lot.
There's also the synergy with. We have a cat now, right? So whenever we're out of town, like somebody has to watch the cat, and so we'll just have the cat sitter water the trees too, right? So that actually has surprisingly worked out fairly well so far. So
awesome.
Though usually we're not gone for too long. So
yeah, right. Bonsai. I remember when I was like teaching classes at the museum, which were like 101 classes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
The first thing I'd always talk to the students about and stuff was like, number one, if you want to keep this thing alive, watering is the key, obviously. And I dive pretty deep into watering and explaining a lot of those nuances we were just talking about. And like almost every time somebody in the class would be like, what about like if we go on vacation?
Yep, that's a classic question. What do I do? Well, somebody's got to water for you, bud.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, not trying to scare you away, but this is
a serious commitment.
And so we kind of made it a bit easier for them and like gave them a more organic, rich soil for their first one, just so that way it kind of stays wetter longer. and explain that to them too, like that it wasn't necessarily like bonsai mix that we were giving them. It was like still had like good components and whatnot, but we did increase the amount of organic material in it just
So it's more water attentive, and maybe they can water less frequently.
yeah, to make it just more user friendly and increase success rate for students, because I mean, you know, people are a lot more likely to continue if their tree stays alive.
Yeah.
So
Unless they're sadists like all the rest of us who killed our first few trees and then
Yeah.
or masochists, sorry, and then come back for more punishment.
Exactly, right. And so I think that is definitely a fun conversation to have with them and see them all kind of doing the mental calculus of like, oh shoot, what have I signed up for?
Yeah.
But then,
Water it how many days a year?
yeah, right.
Every one? Well, sometimes it rains.
Yeah, right, literally. But then by the end of the class, they're so hyped up, they're like willing for the challenge and stuff.
Yeah.
And sounded like we had more and more people constantly asking for like a 200 level class or whatever you
Oh,
call
no
it,
way.
like the next level of
Yeah.
and so that was a good sign of must be having some more successes. So yeah, while it could be intimidating, it's worth it. Yeah.
What's been your favorite activity so far? Like which part, I mean, you've almost been here a year now, right?
Yeah, coming up on it.
Yeah, what's been your favorite, like, season or activity? Like, was repotting the peak, or, I mean, I'm sure every season comes with its own fun, right? But I'm just curious which work's been the most fun so far.
Yeah, I really love styling and wiring. Like repotting's awesome, and that's kind of like definitely the most like instant gratitude of like getting something out of a box and into a pot at a much better angle or something like that. It's like definitely really cool, and like the intensity and focus it requires is great. But I'm a big fan of like just that slow burn of wiring and placing branches and getting closer, and you get to that 70% mark and it's starting to become clear where everything's going and how it's moving along, and then like all of a sudden, bam, you're done. So I think the wiring and styling is my favorite. So I've been really looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, this next set of the
this-
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
Nice.
definitely been exciting and like, but yeah, really it's like learning everything here is like at the level we do it here has been great. Where like repotting,
You're constantly stimulated, yeah.
exactly, like repotting was cool to me before, but now it's substantially cooler than it used to be, just because I now feel a lot more empowered to
Exactly, yeah, that's a
do
great way to...
better stuff.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have a favorite part of the process? Sifting soil?
Yeah, that's exactly it, yep. Favorite part of the process? I'd say like repotting is maybe my favorite, just like single technique.
Huh?
I do like, honestly, I'm working very hard at it, but styling and wiring like is probably also one of the most fun things, but I just don't have a lot of patience, or not patience, but I don't know, it's hard for me to like sit down and just do it alone for like 8 hours. Like I love styling, but with friends.
Yeah,
that's
right.
my favorite. Right? Like,
Fair.
like-
Yeah, it could definitely be monotonous.
yeah, I like styling, and then bouncing ideas off people and like
Nice, yeah.
looking at
absolutely.
what they've done and drawing inspiration from that. So I think just like the process of working together with friends in the workshop is probably one of my favorite things in bonsai, and like that can take on many forms. It could be styling, it could be repotting, but those are the memories I enjoy the most, or like working here with you tonight, or
Heck yeah.
going over Sam's and working, or just being in a class with a bunch of people who are motivated to get better at bonsai. Like that, the time flies when I'm doing that.
Right, yeah, it makes it much more seamless and less like Yeah, just makes the time really fly for sure when
Yeah.
you've got a group of you guys that are all...
Keeps me motivated to keep putting that next wire on, you know, it's just, I like that feeling.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Nice. Yeah, that's such a...
Which is funny because, I mean, bonsai really is a very solitary pursuit, you know, it's not really like...
Yeah, group thing typically.
Not really.
Yeah.
So I might be in the wrong hobby, but you know, I'm finding a way to do it my way that's fun for me, right? And so as a hobbyist, it's like, it's kind of reasonable to like do a lot of your work with other people around, right? Because, you know, you're not doing work every day, right? You might be working a few days, like on the weekends, right? And so it's totally, you know, it's totally normal. I'm sure people go and hang out with their friends on the weekend, right? So it's like, my friends just do bonsai and
exactly.
we're crushing trees together, so.
Awesome. Yeah, those are the good friends to keep me alive.
Yep.
Tree friends.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. No, that's definitely a fun part of it. I was definitely excited for classes to start back up and have a full workshop. And yeah, it's also just so fun to see like so many trees get worked on. I mean, this is day 2 of this class, and like I think every student's on tree number 3 or 4, maybe even 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. So I mean, that's like 6 of us plus times 2 at least. So I mean,
There probably
12.
20 trees at least coming through. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so to see that, you know, it's cool to see all these trees that we've been watching grow this spring and really push out. And now that they're hardening off, it's like the deciduous garden feels a lot smaller all of a sudden.
yeah.
And so to see everything get reworked and dialed in has been really pleasurable. And like you said, the camaraderie and the lessons learned on each one of them has been really enjoyable and a fun part of the classes that always makes me excited for people to come through. And it's like the same with repotting. Like we get in our flow state and rhythm when there isn't the class, and like the way we set it up, it's like there's normally 3 trees on the deck and 1 open spot that we have the pot prepped, so that way that tree can then go into that pot. Like we could have that pot prepped sitting there, and then once we're done with the root work, we move over and get that planted, and then one person was chopsticking while the other 2 are working on the other 2 trees on the deck, and then that next space is freed up for that next pot to be prepped, and it just kind of keeps rolling. And yeah, another thing that's been pretty surprising to see, but also like shouldn't be surprising because I've watched so much Mirai live, is like how fast Ryan is, you know, like
He really is fast.
it never seems like he's moving like erratic or like trying to be speedy, but he just crushes work out. Yeah, exactly. That's probably exactly what it is.
Each cut is economical, right? Like
Yeah.
a impactful thing is happening with each action he's doing. Yeah, it's really fast.
Yeah.
That's something that Sam's been really focused on is speed, you know. And I'm sure for you as like a professional or, you know, working here, it's like speed is a component of your curriculum, right? Because you don't have infinite time, right? It's very different from a hobbyist perspective where like hopefully your capacity of hours is, you know, for your own collection, you have enough hours to complete all the items, right? Whereas a professional, like you got to balance your own trees with all the client work that you got to do too, right? And so, you know, time is, and also, you know, your time is literally money. So,
precisely. Yeah, that is absolutely a component of it at this level, and so trying to get that figured out is.
How does Ryan like instill that in you guys? Like, was that like right out of the gates he was expecting speed, or is it something that he's like kind of gradually building you to, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's not like he's like freaking busting out the whip or anything, but he'll definitely mention speed every so often. Like, you know, like he doesn't have like
just setting a standard of like, oh, hey, this was too slow, or this was fast enough, or this was.
Yeah, just kind of like this should take roughly this amount of time, which is slightly less time than he knows it will take us, just so that way we know we gotta keep her moving. But it's also like, you know, it's never like he's like aggressive about it, but he is like, a professional needs to be able to bust this work out pretty fast, because that's, you know, you're getting paid to work on their trees, and if you fly into somebody's town to work on their trees and you don't finish even one of the few that you were planning on working on, like, probably
It's not a good
going
experience,
back. Yeah, and so...
well, I thought clients, then they just buy you for many more days, right? Oh, you need more days? Don't worry.
Yeah, right? I mean, depends, I'm sure.
I'm just teasing. No,
right? But, yeah, so he's definitely just trying to, like, he's doing a good job of, like, making sure that we're set up for the real world of being a bonsai pro and what that looks like and how to get us there. And so that's been really cool and appreciated for sure. And so it's like, I do want to get faster and been trying to figure that out. And yeah, he doesn't like beat it in us or nothing, but he definitely is not like, oh yeah, take your time, do what you gotta do, don't do this or that, you know? He's like, oh yeah, come on, we gotta finish that maple, you're still on that? We're almost done.
Well, it's funny because, you know, as an apprentice, it's like, you also got to make sure it's right too, you know?
Exactly.
You're going to hear it if you're slow, and you're going to hear it if you're wrong too, you know? So that's funny.
Yeah.
So you got to balance that too. Which one do I want to be, wrong or fast? You know, or sorry, fast or wrong? Yeah. Neither. You got to be right and fast, but.
Yeah, I remember when I went down to San Francisco before I started here and was hanging out at Sam's place and helping him work. He was mentioning speed too, and he was like, oh yeah, I really got that at Ryan's, and it wasn't really like he was pushing it on me, but it was kind of like in my mind, it was the faster I work, then the more trees I get to work on. And now it's like the faster.
Well, the more trees he can have, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? And so
your speed directly impacts the size of collection that you can have responsibly, or like, and still push them all forward, right? So
exactly.
For him, it's like, well, I mean, I think he wants to be able to do a professional level of work, and so he needs the speed for that. But also, it impacts, you know, he wants lots of good trees, and so you got to be fast if you're going to do that.
Exactly. And so that was definitely an inspirational moment for me, where it's like, yeah, I just wanted to make the most out of my time at Mirai and be able to work on the most amount of trees and learn as much as I could. So I was just trying to be as fast as possible. I was like, that's a good point. And now it's like, and now I can trying to spend time with the person I love too. And so it's like, I don't want to just every weekend, all weekend be wiring the same tree for a month. I would like to bust that out and still have a day to go camping with my wife or something.
Yep.
So that
turns out that's important too.
Yeah, exactly. So the quicker you are to get your work done and stuff, then the more time you have for either more trees and or more other life experience. Whatever you choose to fill it with.
No, we don't talk about those on Bonsai Builders.
Yeah, right, exactly. Those are just assumed.
Bonsai is life.
Yeah, right. That's why we're...
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The like, as a professional, there's a clear case for speed, but as a hobbyist, like, you could also just have fewer trees, right?
Yeah.
You know? So, I wonder, do you think like, well, I guess speed also means you have some amount of familiarity, right? So you're potentially doing things better. Or like you have a higher mastery of the thing you're doing and thus can do it faster, right? So speed is like a byproduct of improvement. So I think like speed doesn't necessarily have to be a goal, but it is kind of a barometer of how well you've mastered some particular technique or process or item, right? So
absolutely, yeah, I think that's a great point. And like, yeah, I've definitely felt that with like the styling and stuff too, where I remember like the first few times of, or like not the first few times, but the longest amount of time.
Many times.
First couple of years, where I'd like wire the first branch, and then I'd like try to place it over here, and I was like, I don't think so, and try to move it over here, maybe here, And then like now I've just wasted 10 minutes trying to place this one branch when not everything else is wired even. And so it's like, while I'm not in the camp of like wire everything then place it, I've forced myself to be like,
Keep moving.
Yeah, place it where you think generally it needs to be, and then wire the next thing, and then wire the next thing.
You gotta keep momentum while you're wiring. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like, because when you only have one branch out of the entire tree wired, it's gonna be hard to place that exactly where it needs to go. Like, what I found is like, yeah, it's really not until you start getting to that like 60 to 70% wired and roughly placed where you could really start to make some clearer and better decisions of where a branch needs to go. And while part of that is just experience of looking at trees and styling trees and placing branches, the other part of it is like, yeah, not fixating on it before it's time to really fixate on it.
Yeah, and I know I'm getting mentally fatigued whenever my wiring really slows down. I'm like, oh, you know, I gotta figure out. I wonder if, do you think that do you find yourself getting mentally fatigued after a certain amount of time wiring, or does like the intensity of how fast you're wiring impact how quickly you get fatigued? Does that make sense? I mean, that might be
is it like the speed is an indicator of fatigue, or the speed might cause fatigue almost?
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's the question.
Yeah, I would say it's more so like you're saying, like I start to notice it from like, yeah, it's taking me longer and longer between placing each wire.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, something's going on here. Maybe it is after midnight.
Yes.
And so that I find that to be an indicator for sure of like, okay, or like I start bumping more branches or something, or cutting my wires too short or something. It's like, okay, I either need to tighten up or take a break.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes for me, I just have to take a break sometimes. It's like, I know I'm tapped out on wiring today.
Right.
And my work's just going to get sloppy if I keep going. And
exactly,
you got to take a break.
And that's good to have that ability to be able to recall that and notice that. And I remember that happened to me early on while wiring something here, where like he's like, Ryan came over and he's like, what happened? Your wiring was looking good and now you're getting all these gaps and it's looking like shit. And it's like, oh man, yeah, I mean, I stayed up probably because I was up late last night wiring the same tree last night, and I've been here a few days. I'm just tired and like getting fatigued. He's like, yeah, I mean, it's not like, as a bonsai professional, you're gonna have to figure out how to work through fatigue because you're gonna be tired and still have a lot of work.
Dang.
And like, and it wasn't like he was like, you know, it was not like an aggressive way he was saying it or nothing, but it was like just a fact of the matter. It's like, you know, how many times has he been at a client's house and they just, cool, you're done with that? Here's another one. Here's another one. And he's in the workshop still at 2 a.m. wiring stuff. So it's like, that is kind of part of it as a professional, is like being able to not
let your work quality suffer even when you're tired.
Yeah, trying to work through that fatigue a bit more. And so, so maybe that, I definitely remember a few of those moments of lessons like that I've gotten from him that were either about speed or fatigue or things like that, where it's like, okay, that's a good point. That probably will be not the first time that I start getting tired while working, but that doesn't necessarily mean I can stop yet. And so it is kind of good to keep pushing through it occasionally.
That's a good, it's an interesting insight.
And notice it, but try to force myself to tighten up and not let my quality slip yet.
You're like, oh, I'm tired. I can just half-ass this, or not half-ass it, but, you know, just give in to the fatigue. You know?
Yeah, accept some mistakes or accept a poorly placed wire or something. It's like, no, do that right. You can do better than that. Come on now. And so, yeah, it's similar with the speed, where he'll just nonchalantly be like, oh yeah, well, if you want to be a pro, you're gonna have to. Nobody pays you to water, so don't take 3 hours to water the garden.
Meanwhile, there's 800 rules for.
Yeah, right.
You can sew your notebook at each tree. No, just teasing.
And so, yeah, he's definitely been really appreciative of the way he's been helping us learn these lessons, where it's not like as intense as it sounds like his apprenticeship was with like physical abuse or anything, or even really verbal abuse to serious extent. You know, like if we mess up, he'll tell us and be stern about it, but it's not like he's like, what the fuck, you stupid idiot. It's just like, whoa, guys, like we can't be doing that occasionally. But luckily those are fewer and far between all
You're
the time.
learning.
So. But you know, we're still learning, so they're not gone. But that's all right, and that's how you learn.
Yep, totally.
Awesome. Azalea.
Alrighty, well, I think we're well and truly past midnight at Mirai.
Heck yeah. Made it to midnight at Mirai again.
Yeah. I might have to get skedaddling here in a sec because I gotta drive part of the way home tomorrow after class. So
yeah, right.
Working, and then that's definitely something you don't want to be doing. Fatigued is driving.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm been milking my coffee after dinner this whole time.
Oh my gosh, you monster! Oh yeah, you've still got a good drive home, right?
Yeah, I've got this about an hour. But, you know, when I was in Seattle, it was like you couldn't freaking go to the grocery store without it being an hour drive.
So
I mean, that's an
driving.
exaggeration, but like everywhere's an hour from everything in cities. It feels
It's funny
like.
that both you and Brandon drive a lot, you know, like I think Brandon was driving up here like 3 hours and you were driving from Seattle.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Back in the day, and so we moved somewhat closer. We found this cool spot in the middle of nowhere with a lake, we're literally on the lake, and so it's just nice and relaxing. And it was like if we moved to Portland, we'd still be 55 minutes away from here. So it's like, well, then I might as well take the extra 5 minutes and be in a vacation home pretty much. That's my thought process, at least.
Yeah. Why not do something that's right for you?
Yeah, exactly. And so,
nice.
I should probably also be hitting the road soon because I gotta wake up early and water my own trees.
Yeah, and then get back here.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, thanks for doing a little recording while we were working here, and thanks for letting me into the workshop in the evening too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the help on my trees. Much appreciated.
Alrighty, well, hope everybody has a good rest of their day, rest of their evening, and we'll hit you up next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening.